Welcome, everyone. We'll allow a few more people to come in. Welcome, my name is Taya, and I'm the Administrative Coordinator at the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start, grow, and succeed. We do this through our no-cost consulting and a variety of no-cost webinars and training programs like the one you're attending today. You are joining us for launching a podcast. All training materials will be sent to attendees within a follow-up email within 2 to 3 business days. All attendees have been muted. We encourage you to post any questions in the Q&A or chat box. Now I'll turn over the floor to David Simmons.
Thank you so much, Ted. Truly appreciate it. Good to serve alongside with you. And I wanted to see who we have in the room. So if you could put in the chat box, let us know what business you have, where you're from, all that good stuff, and as well as what you're looking to learn about podcasting. Whatever you're looking to learn about podcasting, that would be great. Cool. So we'll give you all a second to do that. We're going to go into a lot of podcasting stuff today. I'm actually very excited to share some things and help you because I'm a podcaster myself. Okay. Cool. I'm glad. Welcome, Saran. I'm glad that you're asking about equipment. You're in Philly, photo, video, excellent. So Cosette, published music, wonderful. We'll be talking about a couple of ways that you can do this. So Bridget, Philly as well. Grande Dame, currently a woman's online boutique, however, looking to change it to a lifestyle brand for the podcast and videos. Hey, lifestyle brand is definitely one of the popular moves. So I can't fault you for wanting to do that. That's really cool. Sean, welcome, Sean. Financial services driving views and engagement. Okay, so you must have a video angle for yours. Very cool. DJ podcast for women. Excellent. Okay. So just giving you guys a few more minutes to share, and then we'll just dive in. KC, realtors and real estate. Nice, very nice. That's a good niche. There's a lot of opportunity in that niche, as you know, as I'm sure you know. Okay, so I have a lot of material to give you today. For those who don't know me, my name is David D. Simons. I run a digital marketing agency called Kingdom Social Media. I've been doing these trainings with the SBDC for almost a whole year now. Teardrop, this is my last one for the year. So if you've been on before with me, great. If this is your first time, great. I'm sure we'll be doing some things together in the future. So we're gonna really dive in. I mean, I'm gonna pretty much give you everything you need to know to launch a successful podcast. There's always room to learn and grow. This is not going to be obviously within an hour we can't cover every single piece of detail that you need for the podcast, but you will have resources, you will have ideas, you will have strategies that could help you grow and build and launch a successful podcast. So also to give you a little background, I am a podcaster myself. So it's not just something I'm teaching on or saying. It's something I do regularly. In fact, I'll be sharing a link to check out mine if you want to check out mine as well. Just some things that we do. I'm also, my goal is to give you a really solid launching strategy. So for those that are new, that don't have any podcast at all, you're going to leave with a strong strategy to launch. So I am curious, how many of you have podcasts already? You can just type in the chat box if you have a podcast, and then how many of you have no podcast at all? So those yes, and like, let me know if yes, I have a podcast. No, I don't have a podcast, but I'm looking to start one. Okay, let's see what we got in the chat here. No, none. Okay, no podcast. Did a lot of research. No. Okay, we're in the right room right here. Then you're just looking to start one. You're in the right place to be. So I am going to deal with the technical aspects. I'm going to deal with some mental aspects too, because there is a mind game to this as well. It's not all technical, right? There's things that are going to um, get in your way from doing a podcast. So we'll get into those. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Screen share. Sorry for Here we go. All right. So you might see that I have a little handy dandy mic here myself. So and we'll be talking about equipment to use and how you can use some different things. I'm also going to show you, take you inside. Fortunately, I can't give you this last piece. I can't give you this plan, but please definitely watch the replay as you get a replay. I'm going to give you an exact plan. We're going to walk you through a plan that we did for a client as well to launch their podcast as well. Okay. So I will be, answering questions throughout the presentation. So just drop them in the chat for me if you do have a question. And we'll go ahead and roll here. Let me share my screen. Let me maximize my screen. All right. So the first thing to start with is, what is a podcast, right? That's what we start with. What is a podcast? A podcast is an audio file, typically, but it can be a video too, right? People that watch video podcasts and things of that nature, but it's typically an audio and it's on demand. So it's just like watching your favorite TV show, but on demand. We have had podcasting for quite a while, actually. It's gained popularity. I want to say in the last, 5, 6, maybe 7, actually 7, so I said 7, 10 years, but really in the last 5 years, it's really started to blow up. But podcast, the beautiful thing about a podcast is that it's on demand, right? Whenever you want to watch it, so or whenever you want to listen to it. So for some of you, I want to hear in the chat, what are some of your favorite podcasts right now? What do you listen to? If you drop in the chat some of your favorite podcasts. I'm always looking for good podcasts. Plus, I want to see what kind of style of podcast people are listening to, so maybe give some ideas of things that I know about different podcasts, right? So while I'm speaking, please feel free to drop in the chat your favorite podcast. So when I look at podcast, it's a powerful mechanism because it grows every time as your subscriber base grows. People go back to the beginning and they listen to most people start with episode 0 or 1, or they'll work their way backwards, right? So Saran says Rory and Maul start with this and Wharton School. I love it. Barbara Corcoran, Genevieve says. Excellent. I gotta check hers out. I haven't. She's a great interview. Barbara Corcoran. So you've gotta understand that the power of it is that on demand part, right? Because otherwise it'd be a radio show, and radio has become still there, still valuable, but there's nothing like being able to consume content whenever you want to consume content. Kitchen Sisters podcast, I had to check that out. I've never heard of that as well, so thank you guys for dropping that. One of mine is my favorite is How I Built This with Guy Raz. It's about building how to build a business. If you haven't, you want to jot that down. How I Built This with Guy Raz. So what does a podcast do? Firstly, it gives you a voice and an opportunity to inspire other people and motivate the world with your content, with your information, with what you know. It's going to help. It can help people change people's lives. It can transform somebody's thinking. It can expose somebody to new worlds. I mean, there's podcasts on virtually everything. Octopus, chicken, virtual assistant. I mean, you think, you name it, and it's there. And people are giving. They're not giving fluff content either. They're giving a lot of value to help other people. So, your podcast, you want to know what why you want to do this, right? What is your motivation that's going to drive you? Another thing to look at is that a podcast is a way to really gain access to people if you're doing an interview style podcast. So I'm gonna answer Cosette's questions. What's the difference between Facebook Live and YouTube? Can you keep track of who downloads? Not as clear. You're not able to keep the track of the downloads because YouTube, you're not really downloading, you're watching, but you can track views. Facebook, you're also watching primarily. When it comes to keeping track of who downloads, yes, podcast platforms will allow you to see the download access, how many downloads you received or subscribers. The difference between Facebook Live and YouTube, I mean, I think Facebook Live is it's a platform that's built in within Facebook's ecosystem. It's not Facebook is not a search engine it's not as big a search engine as YouTube is, right? So YouTube is the second largest search engine, period. That being the case, somebody's looking for a topic, they're going to learn about that topic. They're going to get information. So when you're creating a podcast, you want to know that the perception is reality, right? There's when you and I don't know how many of you plan to do interview style, solo style. Actually, that's a good question to ask for you in the chat. How many of you plan to do interview style? Just say yes. If you're planning to do solo, just type in S. If you're trying to do a solo and just where it's just you, okay. Some people are doing both. Okay, good. If you are doing interviews, it's going to grow your brand, right? Because you're borrowing authority from people that are well known in their field, that have credibility, and guess what happens? That credibility rubs off on you. And even if nobody knows your brand yet, they will know your brand because of the people that you bring about. One of the podcasts I've been listening to a lot lately is called Earn Your Leisure, and these guys just did a 13,000 person conference because their podcast has grown. I mean, they've interviewed people like Mark Cuban, Dame Dash. I mean, all kinds of experts in various fields, and their podcast has grown really, really strong. And they have an aspect of some of you mentioned, a combo. They're doing some with each other, and then some with guests. So the platform is going to help you to grow. Another thing is that the podcast will help you to grow your audience. And, and as I mentioned, this example of them building a 13,000 person event. The content is not like a radio show. Like it's evergreen, right? It lives on forever. You can go back to your favorite episode and go listen to it over and over and over and over again. And this number might be a little higher. iTunes has over 525 million, it's probably higher, active users on the platform right now. And then Spotify has become a big juggernaut in the whole space as well. So you combine with the access and the ability for putting together a podcast. So for you all, here's an exercise that you can do if you are not clear on your topic. I'd like to know in the chat box who's clear on their topic already. Yes, you're clear on your topic. No, I'm not clear on your topic. This might help somebody. You can put Y or N. I want your topic to be. Okay, so some of you are already good. Some of you are not. Okay, so here's an exercise that you can do. I didn't need to do this, but because I knew as well, but you can put down, do this 5-day exercise, or draw a line in the middle, split the page and put it in 2 parts. On the left-hand side, you're going to write down your passions and the things that really, really ignite you, excite you, even as a child, things that you really were passionate about and that really get fire lit up inside you. Then on the other side, you're going to write down your expertise. This is your skill set, things you've acquired, things you've learned, things people always say that you're good at. Then you're going to go to your family and ask them what they think your skill sets are. Ask them for advice. Ask them for things that these are things that you've acquired as a skill. Maybe things that you're really good at. Then each day of this exercise, you're going to bring out different passions and expertise, and you're going to write and just add to your list. Day 1, day 2, and then 3rd day and 4th day and 5th day of this exercise, you're going to look at the paper breaking it down. That's why I had all these notes in here, because I wanted you guys to leave with everything you need. And then you're going to start to look at what your paper shows, and you're going to notice all the overlap of the passion and the skill sets. And then you're going to find what's the zone of genius. You're going to Google or search out that topic and pick something around those 2 sides that circles in, right? And make it unique to yourself, right? Again, this is one idea. It doesn't have to be the only way you do things, but it is a method that can help you to grow your podcast. So when you awesome. Good. I'm glad some of you are pretty clear on it. The other piece is you want to create an avatar, just like as business owners, right? You all have a clear target of who you want to be your avatar. So we're going to use an example of Jimmy. As Jimmy is there's a whole breakdown I'm going to give. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Let me show you something here. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to start with the plan now, because this might be good to show you. This is I told you, I said this one you'll have to just watch close. I'm not going to I can't send the client's plan to you all, but I just want you to. I'm going to use this avatar, right? So this is a client his name is Deltoro McNeil. He's a motivational speaker, top speaker, coach, consultant, all those things. And he's really good at speaker training and speaking. So this was a proposal to put together a plan for Crush the Stage podcast. The name has since changed, but the whole show is about entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, solopreneurs, executives that want to learn how to become better speakers and trainers and presenters. And the listener we broke down was like as an example is a 38-year-old healthcare executive female. Her name is Alice, and Alice performs at a high level at her job. The reality is she wants to become a better speaker and would like to make money full time as a speaker because of her passion for personal development. She does well at her job, but is not where she wants to. There's not where she sees herself spending the rest of her life. She's married with 2 young kids and has a bachelor's in hospital administration and an MBA. Alice listens to the podcast on her long commute home. So these are just this is just a breakdown of the ideal target that it could be for the podcast. And then this is a breakdown of the tagline of ideas, right? So you want to think about a tagline. place where speakers come to grow, where speakers dreams transform into reality. You then want to have a description, right? So a description of your podcast. The Crush Stage Podcast is dynamic show where those who are serious learn from one of the world's top motivational speakers, Del Toro McNeil. You will learn some of the best techniques, tips, and strategies to take your speaking skills to the next level. Del Toro not only gives you powerful content, but also interviews elite speakers who are crushing it in various industries, right? So then the next thing, once you need to decide is what would the avatar want? Thinking from the avatar, right? Alice, busy hospital healthcare executive, would probably want audio as opposed to video, right? Are you going to have a self-host record one episode and then have an episode with guests or co-hosting, right? So this would be a self-host, but so it's combinations we talked about. And then how are you going to have your system-based interview or topic-based? So this in this case chose topic-based, and then a sample mission statement to produce a weekly podcast with the best content for those looking to take their speaking skills. So all these things are things you should be thinking about for your podcast. What's your sample mission statement for your podcast? Is it going to be interview or topic-based? Are you going to self-host, co-host, audio, video? But all of that is not decided by you. All of that should be decided by your avatar, right? So that's where we that's how we put things together. Okay, so let me break this down. So there's a lot of things. I said there's going to be some pieces that we're going to talk about that are going to there are going to be some pieces that we're going to talk about that are going to be mindset based, and some technical pieces that we're going to talk about as well. So when you're creating a podcast, you're going to have some forks in the road. You're going to have some things that are going to knock you off course. You're going to have some things that are going to ask you if you really, really want to do this, and what's going to drive you. So the question you always want to think is, what would your avatar want? Stop thinking about you and I want to do a show about this. I want. Right? Everybody's listening to one radio station. What's in it for me? Radio, WII-FM. So really have to get, and even for myself, right? As I'm doing interviews with guests and experts and fellow entrepreneurs, I'm trying to think from the audience. What would they want to learn or know from that guest? What would they want me to do? Or extract, and I think that's what some of the best interviewers, they are thinking from the audience. I was actually watching a segment on Oprah yesterday, and it was just interesting, just the way and dynamic she interviews. Or I was also listening to Trevor Noah and seeing how he interviews. Like anyone that interviews, you're trying to, and this is just, I know I'm speaking for the interview people because not everybody is doing an interview based podcast, but if you are, you have to really think for that perspective of your avatar. If this person that if you're in the executive, right, the healthcare executive in that case, what would they want to extract? So you would say, hey, if you're working a job and you really want to transition, here's a great organization to join, Toastmasters, just like such and such did. So so you have scenarios and statements where you're thinking from the audience that shows that you care about their well-being. So naming the podcast, this can be really hard, right? So one of the things you want to make sure as your passion comes through, you need to find a name that really resonates with you, and you see the same theme, your avatar. But so it's got to be something that drives you. Your avatar also should have the name of your podcast should show interest to your avatar, right? So I want to hear if anybody got any names of their podcast. If you have an idea or you already have an idea for your podcast, let's see what you have in the chat. Okay. MN sent us something. I'm gonna just
ladies and
okay. I just pulled up what I was just sent here. Right. This is the elementary My Dear Humanities and Medicine podcast. Experience pesticides and pasteurization. Okay, got it. Thank you for sending that. I have ideas, nothing final. Okay, Bridget, no problem. Hopefully this will help you jot some things. Can you name it after your company? Absolutely. It's your show. Why not? Why not, Cosette? So for sure, you can certainly name it after your show. But here are some things that you do want to think about, right? You want to make sure it's memorable. Words that will stand out. That things that will be clear. And again, it's audio, so you just know that they're not going to get the full. If it's a lot of words. It's not going to be like how I built this by Guy Raz, right? So I modeled my podcast. My podcast is called How I Discovered My Gift with David D. Simons, right? So simple phrases, simple statements. What else is a good podcast? Well, some are after brands of the people like Ed. I listen to a lot of Ed Milet podcast, right? So some are after specific brands, right? So personal brands that somebody's built their name on. Search engine friendly. So another thing you want to make sure is that the search engines can catch it. So this is the words you use, and you want to focus on things that the search engines will associate you with. You also want to index. You want them to index you correctly. So you want to be cognizant of your search engines as well. Okay. The other piece is okay. Thank you for sending that one. Appreciate it. Yes, I'll give my podcast as well. All right, let me put it in the chat for you guys. I was going to show you guys a little later, but okay, I'll show you now. And there's some, and I just want you to hang in there, right? For those that are going to do a podcast. See, I'm at 38 hours, right? 38 podcasts. People don't catch on to your podcast usually till about episode 100. So I'm in it for the long haul. I know that not a lot of people are going to catch on yet. Well, I'd love for you guys to check it out, right? Feel free to subscribe. We have some pretty great shows, different stories, different leaders. And so it's all about people discovering their gift, right? So I will talk about my hosting and some of the things that I use for the podcast in a moment. But you also want to think of your domain name, right? So a domain name, a .com is always a desirable thing if you can. It's not always necessary, but you want to have a place where your podcast can go, right? You just need to find the right domain name. You also want to make sure that it has the spelling of it is simple, it's easy. You want to use something that people can easily resonate with, and you also want to pick a what do you call it? Not like something that can categorize your audience. So for example, our listener group is called doers, because we're talking about people that get it done, that do the work, that make things happen. I've seen one of the podcasts I listen to also is by Alex Hermosi, and he has Mosey Nation, right? Earn Your Leisure has earners, right? So you categorize the group of people that you're serving that are a part of your community. Okay. So another way to there's a good naming site. I can't remember. There's naming tools, naming conventions that you can use. So when you think about podcast artwork, you want it to be simple. You want it to pop. I'm gonna pull up some things, some different examples. You want it to pop. You want it to be the dimensions that are 1400 by 1400 pixels, and 2048 by 2048 pixels maximum. So I want you to see some examples here in a second. So podcast logos. Actually, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go to the podcast. We're gonna go to iTunes, podcast. That's a great way to kind of look at and see how the shows and how people. So if you're looking for ideas, right, just go into, look at how some of the podcast titles are, or podcast shows. Or you know what? Maybe I should use Spotify because I got Spotify open here. That might be better. Okay, so let me go into here. Okay, just look at that's what I was talking about. Hormozi, Alex Hormozi, the Earn Your Leisure is there, right? Look at how some of these podcasts. Oh, I'm gonna show you guys how to get on the podcast directories in a second here. But I just want you to start like seeing the trend of how podcasts are. Let me see if there's a. I don't do a good job of the categories. Where are the categories at? Or maybe it's just me. Okay. Where is the category part? Okay, I'm gonna do search podcast. Okay, there we go. Okay. And then so look at certain brands, right? They're using the person. A lot of people are using the person. Thank you, Small Business Philly. Earn Your Leisure. Yeah, that's a great one. So you kind of see the it pops. It has to pop. So when you create a podcast cover, it has to pop. It can't be very like too much detail on it, and you can't tell what it is from a mile away. Like not a mile, but you get what I'm saying. It has to stand out. So all like this one, that's not really good, right? That's too much design. That's too much like simple, either photos or pictures or words that fill up the more, because this is a lot of your branding. A lot of your branding will be how your podcast logo is. Okay, so it's a very, very important thing not to gloss over. Okay, so don't gloss over that. Okay, so what are the reasons podcasts never launch? A lack of focus. People don't focus. I love this statement of focus: following one course until successful. Right? Most people don't focus enough, and they don't hone in on one goal, one focus, one goal, and they get into shiny object syndrome. I've been guilty too. And you're like, well, maybe I won't start a podcast. I'm gonna do a challenge. Or maybe I won't do a challenge. I'm gonna do a webinar. Maybe I won't do, I'm gonna do a YouTube TV show. Right? Just if you're gonna do this podcast, just focus on it. I have some thoughts on Anchor. Let me answer some of these questions here. Is Pinterest a good place to promote your podcast? Pinterest is a place that you can post episodes. It's not necessarily where people go to when they think of podcasting, but I do love the fact that Pinterest drives the most traffic to websites out of all the social networks. Out of all the clickable traffic, organic traffic, Pinterest does that. So why not promote your podcast through Pinterest? So you can, sure. Leslie asks, what do you think of Anchor, that Anchor promises to put on the various platforms and ease of use for publishing? This is my bias. I'm not sold on Anchor, right? I'm not sold on Anchor. And it's not, and there are many other platforms like Anchor. I just don't like the control that they have. You're in a position where they are able to put a brand, some branding on your platform, and you don't have ownership. I love ownership, right? So Anchor has some stipulations. Yes, they'll put you on all these platforms. Yes, they'll do this, but they can also run ads on your stuff that maybe you don't even agree with. Let's say they got ads about a specific line. You're into sustainability in a company that doesn't have good sustainability practices, and they just put that and roll on front of your podcast, and it's like completely contradictory to your values. So I don't like Anchor in that regard because of the control they have. I am going to suggest a few things. I'll tell you what I use. So I think this is a good time for me to segue into that real quick. I use a platform called podcast.co. Well, let me share this. Oops, let me see here. Podcast. I forgot to put the T. Podcast.co. I like podcast.co because I keep the ownership, right? It has all the and I'm not advocating for podcast. Yes, I'll put them in the chat in a second. Let me see here. Okay, I guess I am advocating for them. I'm just not saying, hey, this is the only one, right? There's other ones out there. I like podcast.co. We have great listener analytics, hosting and distribution. You can have private podcasts. They have great support. They have like I said, I have a pretty decent looking site. It has all my episodes. It has everything broken down, like all the things you need, right? But what I also especially love about them, well, I got in on a good deal, right? So it's in pounds, as you see, it's a British company. But I got in on a good deal. So I have a lifetime license. I'll show you where I got my lifetime license. I don't know if it's still available, but I will show you that. So they have a bunch of support and resources. Now let me show you what it does here. Right here. So everybody talks about distribution. So you're gonna be on Spotify, you're gonna be on right here, look at right here. Spotify, Google, Apple Music, Apple iTunes, like this, and many other. It's one-click distribution. So when I publish my episode, it goes to all these places. All right. So I am still growing my brand. I'm not nowhere near where we want to be, but I'm going to take you on the inside real quick. Okay. I'm not claiming to have hundreds of thousands of listeners every episode just yet. Okay. So I want to take you into one of our best episodes. Hold on, I'm gonna take you on. I just want to show you. So this was an episode that did really well. And it gives you analytics, right? So this is over, that's the last 30. That's not what I was looking for. But what I want you to see here is it shows you all the locations. Philippines, Rwanda, Canada, all the different places of where they go. And then what I like too is it does give you some information on let's see if it's in here. So this shows you all your distribution platforms, right? All your podcast feeds, all that stuff. But what I wanted to show you was like where it also shows you where here it is. This is for audio only, Bridget. So where people are listening to, refers, all my data is here. But what I wanted, I don't know where it is here, but for purposes of time, I'm going to keep going. But it allows you to also see which platforms are sending the most traffic, right? So that's one of the things that I love about it. Thank you, DJ, for the kind words. So when you're doing this, just really focus. I love Parkinson's law. It says that task will expand to the time you need to allot to them. So if you say you're going to do this podcast and you limit your time to an hour, 2 hours a day, you're going to knock it out with that. If you say you give yourself a month to do it, you're going to take a whole month to do it. Yes, you can monetize on podcast.co for sure. And I forgot to show you guys one more thing. So let me show you this. And podcast.co is not the only one, right? But for some of you who've come to previous sessions, I always probably share this site multiple times every time. But this is where I get access to lifetime deals. I don't know about you guys. I like to save money. So if I can get a deal, I will do that. So in here, right, I look for software. I get software on all kinds of things. So I don't know what's in here right now, but podcast.co was in here before. And what I mean by that is I paid $69 for podcast.co for have a lifetime membership. Okay, I'll put that in the chat for you guys too. Okay, so that's appsumo.com. Right. So check this out. I mean, this is all kinds of stuff in here. So just take a look. This is speech and text to video converters. So if you want to transcribe stuff, all that's in here. Bouncecast. This is for podcast editing and post production. So this is a $59 tool for the rest of your. I use this one right here. This is NoteTracks when I'm collaborating on different things. I use that. I also have this one too. Soundwise. This is for managing audio programs and stuff like that. It's a pretty cool one. I like that one too. There's all kinds of tools in here. I mean, let me see if this podcast.co is still in here. I doubt it. Yeah, they've grown up and become too big. But usually this place starts where this is where you can find like software before it blows up, right? And then get it access to it for all kinds of stuff. So you can see here, and they have all kinds of other resources that you can tap into that are not just software, but like ideas and things of that nature. Okay. So I highly recommend taking advantage of that. Okay. So lack of niching. So another reason why podcast doesn't blow up is because of the lack of niching. You cannot be afraid to niche down. If you have, pay once. Yeah. So yes, correct, Regina. That's pay for the I paid one time for podcast.co. You guys are asking some great questions, so I'm just flowing with your questions. All right. So let me, you guys asked about music. So let me show you something real quick. I'm pretty proud of my intro. So I'm just gonna play. I know you can check it out when you get a chance, but I'm just gonna play a very short snippet on one of my favorite episodes that I've done. It's called where is it at? It's called Entrepreneurship is Hard, right? And it's true, because entrepreneurship is hard. Lifetime membership for podcast.co, I paid a whopping $69. So I don't have to pay ever again. Okay, so I'm just gonna play this little snippet. Where is it at? Sorry. I just want you to, because I'm sharing with you my style. I like music, so I put in music weaved into my episode, but that was episode 24. So I'm just gonna play that real quick, so you can see example of production and all that. So I'm gonna play this. I'm just gonna play like the first minute. There are always going to be fears. It's not. Oh, I've conquered all the fears. Entrepreneurs are people who jump out of planes and build the parachutes on the way down. I searched all over the world, struggling to find it. Then I have my voice, baby, silent. Yeah, I searched all over the world, struggling to find it. Then I met my boy, baby, silent. Yeah, discover my gift, yeah. Discover my gift, yeah. And then David D. Simons here. Welcome to another episode of How I Discovered My Gift with yours truly. All right. So I just put that little snippet to thank you all for the kind words. Okay, so yes, you can add in music. I actually keep a little track underneath for my most of my episodes. You certainly can. So the lack of niching down, that's what stops people. You got to have a niche for you want to get rich, get a niche, right? You really have to you're not trying to resonate with everybody. You have to focus. And if you're going to do a podcast about butterflies, go all in on butterflies. There are people making millions. There's literally, you can look it up. I can't remember the name of it. There's a guy that has a podcast about chickens. He's a millionaire just talking about chickens, right? All kinds of how to breed them, how to do this, how to do that, right? So don't be afraid to focus. Focus will help you grow. Unrealistic expectations. As I told you, I'm in this for the long haul. I know that it's not going to grow fast. I started with low downloads to no downloads in my first episodes, and it's growing steadily. So you know that you're going to grow, and it might be slow. Okay, so no, I don't sing. I wish I could. So you want to know that that 100 episode, that's what your game plan is for. If you're going to do this, don't do this with the aspiration to do less than 100 episodes. I'm just going to share with you right now, because that's where you're going to see that transition, that transformation. Unwillingness to invest, not just money, but time, energy, mentors. I got podcast mentors. I got people I listen to, be involved with masterminds, resources, all the things that you need to do to help your brand grow. The last one, and everybody struggles with this one, okay, is imposter syndrome. So this is just, it affects everybody. Who am I to release the podcast? Who am I to talk about this topic? And even in the episode I just played you, Entrepreneurship is Hard, I talked about some imposter syndrome stuff. But here's the truth. If you don't have any level of imposter syndrome, maybe you're not pushing yourself beyond your boundaries, because that's when you start to feel imposter. If you don't have imposter syndrome or dealing with some kind of level of imposter syndrome, you're comfortable. Because when you're not comfortable, that means you're stretching yourself and you're asking yourself, am I supposed to be in this room? Am I supposed to be able to talk on this topic? If I don't, do I feel qualified enough? Right. So imposter syndrome is there. It's gonna be a challenger, especially as you start to interview people of high net worth, high influence. If you do that, or especially as you start to get featured, get quoted, all these things may make you question yourself. But you got to push past that. You got to push past that. So the other piece is, don't delay. If you're gonna do this, like I think Yoda says, do or do not. There is no try. Right? Do or do not. There's no try. Do this thing or do not do this thing. Don't be in the middle, and don't delay. So if you're going to do a podcast, I want to hear your commitment right now. I know a lot of you don't have the podcast yet. Just give me a big yes in the chat box if you are committing to create this podcast. Yes, great Small Biz Philly, great Regina. I want to see yes, Bridget. Awesome, Denise, Casey. Awesome. I got them screenshotted now. Leslie, DJ, Genevieve. Yes, great. All right. So I look forward to hearing all of your podcasts. Send me your links when they're launched. So I'm gonna give you some technical pieces of the last yes, may the force be with you too, man. So now let's talk about equipment, because this is the thing that a lot of people kind of get hung up by, right? So there's all kinds of equipment out here. When I started, I didn't start with what I'm using today. In fact, I have my old mic, and I used to use a Blue Yeti. So Blue Yetis are great. Yes, this is recorded. Blue Yetis are great. This is what I used to use. Today, as you see, I use a Shure mic. I graduated, right? And you graduate as you grow. So in case anybody wants to know what I'm using for this mic, I'm using a wait, that's not the mic. That's the headphones. Oh, I guess I don't have the box for that, but it's a Shure mic. I can tell you that. And there's a podcast package that has that. Okay. So, but I don't expect everyone to say, hey, let's start with the highest quality mic from the get-go. You don't need to do that. You can start with what you have where you are. Some people start with, I know people that have really successful podcasts and they still use either wired headphones or even these, right? So I don't feel like the equipment makes the show. It doesn't. You should have a good quality. I'm not saying that. But you definitely need a good computer, a Mac, a PC, a laptop, something, right? And then you need some recording software. So here's some things that you can use that are pretty cheap. So $29.99 for the Logitech Clear Chat. It's good. It's an affordable one. And this is what I actually asked for my guests to have to come on my show. They have to have this or at a minimum. I always ask them for a mic, right? So yes. Do I recommend recording a certain number of podcasts before launching? Yes. Record at least your first 2 to 3, right? Before launching. And then when you launch with a few. I'll tell you why in a second. And then there's the ATR 2100. That's $49.99. That's a great next tier up. There's the Heli PR40. That's $327. I didn't put this one in here. But it is a Shure mic. You can look. You probably see these everywhere. A lot of people are using these. I love this mic beyond all the mics I've ever had. There's the Blue Yeti, the one I showed you earlier. That's a great mic. Now for software, you could use Adobe Audition. You could use Adobe Creative Cloud, which through Adobe Creative Cloud, it is $20 a month. If you want to start free, I believe in free. For PC, you can use Audacity, and you can actually use it for Mac too. I started on GarageBand, but now I don't personally edit all my shows. I have a team member that does that, so I forgot what he uses. But if I ever have to do anything, I edit in GarageBand. Interfaces go anything M audio wise. If you have a interface that you're going to use, M Audio's products are good. I don't actually use the interface personally. You know why? Because I'll share with you guys. I actually wasn't planning on sharing this, but I'll share it too. And the only reason I don't share this because I'm like, I don't want everybody to have to like shell out. I want you to do this as lean as possible, right? So I want to show you what I use for my episodes. So I record video and audio, right? So this is my studio, right? This is where I have all these podcasts lined up of people that are coming out on our podcast, and it's called Riverside.fm. It's very simple, right? So I send my episodes over to my team, and then I just do the episode on here. We record. So where are we at? We're like somewhere. We're on this part. So I got all these in the chamber. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh no, this one's already done. Five episodes that are yet to be released. Right. So I love Riverside.fm. You can check them out. It's an all-in-one suite. It's got everything. I go to the studio, right? I say, hey, I'm not using my headphones, right? I join studio, and then my guest would come in. I hit this, and then you see at the bottom, I hit record. It's better than Zoom to me because it has better quality, better. I can do whatever I need to do. So it's very simple for my interviewees, things like that, right? So you can kind of see that whole thing, right? So yes, I agreed, Mike. I love Riverside over Zoom for sure. But Zoom is a good start point. It can be free. So what media host? So podcast.co becomes my media host. So I don't need one. But for all of those that are using a media host, you need a place to host your podcast. I recommend Libsyn, Libsyn. They're reasonable, and it's a great tool, great resource to use. So that's my number one media host recommendation. I would use Libsyn. Here's the 8-step process that you can use to record. So you can record in Adobe Audition. You can add an intro and record that. Keep that there all the time. I have the same intro. I have an outro, right? This is the same. This is where you can tag your podcast. Again, I'm kind of cheating because Podcast Code does a lot of this for me. A lot of the things that I would have to do manually, I don't have to do. So if I had a preference, I would pick and it doesn't have to be podcast.co, but I would pick a solution that has all of it in one. It's just simplified, right? It simplifies everything. I don't have to do tagging. I don't have to do the distribution. I don't have to do any of the pieces. I just record, have my team edit, we upload, and we're off to the races. And it's all out there in the ecosphere. So upload to your media partner. I'm just giving you the strategy. I'm trying to give you the strategies that are most cost effective, right? Because podcasts don't make you money right away, right? It takes you a little while to get it to monetize. And I'm going to talk about monetization here with the last few minutes I have. So you upload to the media partner. You can either schedule them out, you can publish, and then submit. So, and again, if I had to do it all over again, would I do it this way? Because I started this way. I wouldn't. I would do it all in one process. Okay. So you got to choose if you're going to be interview based or topic based. I am not an interview based podcast. I'm topic based. Everybody comes on the show. We speak about discovering their gifts. How did they discover their gifts? How did they develop their gifts? And how are they distributing or making money on their gifts? Right. I ask not necessarily the same exact questions every time, but it's the same topic. So how I build my model. So my model is how I built this with Guy Raz from NPR. Right. His show is all about how they built their process. He's not coming on there. Oh, how's your life? What new book do you have that you're promoting? Right. Nothing wrong with that. I just don't base my show on that. So you got to decide. If you're going to be an interview based, you're going to be a topic based. There's all the pros. I'm not gonna go into reading the detail for this because I got a lot of these resources for you from all the resources that I've gotten and combined it and send it over to you guys so that you guys can take advantage of these resources. So there's different cons of having an interview based, right? Interview based podcast. You want to make sure that you got great guests, that somebody that's not boring, right? So do your homework. Make sure that they're not gonna they're gonna bring you value to your listeners. Just because somebody's great at what they do does not mean they're a great interview. Know that. Just because somebody's great at what they do does not mean they're a great interview. Some of my best interviews are not by the most well-known people. Some of the best interviews are by people that are not most well-known. Okay. Yes. So it can kind of get repetitive. So you gotta find great interviews, great people, great questions. Make sure that so like I said, sometimes the guests may suck. So vet them out as much as possible. Topic based, right? This is where you're setting the pace on a topic. The topic you choose is key. If you are basing it on if you're basing on a topic, then you want to be clear on what that topic is and do your research, do your homework. So again, I'm gonna fast forward here. Yes, you can kind of do both. You can do both interview and topic based for sure. You can do both. Yes, you guys will get access to all this information. Is it possible? Time permits. A pre-interview helps tremendously. I like that. Yeah, pre-interview, you can do that. What platform would you recommend to promote your podcast? I love Spotify, how Spotify does things. Spotify is a great promoter of my podcast, distribution place of my podcast, and then just jumping on all the industry outlets to distribute. How long should a typical episode be? I personally like the 30-minute to an hour mark, but there are people that love like short types, 15 to 20 minutes. But honestly, it's really about how great the content it is. That's what it boils down to. But typically 30 minutes to an hour is what most podcasts are. Wow, we have run out of time. I didn't even get to the frequency and the length and all that good stuff, but you'll get all this. Okay. There's a little bit more tips on how to find guests and all that good stuff. Again, this will be a resource that's going to be available to you. I will stop there and turn it over to my colleague here.
Yeah, so if anyone else has any remaining questions, I guess we'll let a few more come in. And I would like to mention that everyone will receive a follow-up email within 2 to 3 business days with the recording as well as the presentation as training materials for you guys to look over. Thank you, David, for having this webinar today for us. And thank you, everyone, for joining.
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Oh, also to mention, there is a 4-question survey that I linked, but it will also be in the follow-up email that is required by our funders, the SBA, so we can continue to have no-cost webinars like the one you attended today. Thank you.
Thank you. My email is there below if anybody has any questions, needs anything. All right.
Now, though, a few more seconds so you guys can get that. And then if you are looking for it again, you can always contact the SBDC at our email address, sbdc@temple, is also on our website. And if you don't grab that information here, then we can always send it to you.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right,
Appreciate
thank you, David. Again, thank you,
you.
everyone.
Thank you as well. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.